Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're looking at how to update the software on the Radiolink T16D. So that'd be the software on the transmitter and also the software on the receiver. Let's make a start. Okay, so before we get stuck into the how-to part in this video, let's talk about the why. Why should you update the software on your transmitter, and why should you update the software on the other components such as the receiver? Well, first things first, let me just point out I'm a massive fan of making sure software is always up to date. And the main reason is because software, simply put, is written by humans. It's code, it's written by humans, and humans make mistakes, we all do. So from time to time there can be bugs and issues in the software. That doesn't sound too good, is it? We want to get rid of those issues as soon as possible, and that's why manufacturers release new versions of the software to get rid of those issues. But also, with new versions come new features. We'll be taking a look very shortly at the new features in the latest software of the Radiolink. So that's two reasons to always make sure your components are up to date, especially your transmitter, is you're going to get rid of those bugs and those issues, if there are any, and you also get new features and functionality for existing hardware. Who doesn't like that? So that's why I recommend it's always up to date. So that's exactly what we're doing now. So without further ado, let's work out how to do this transmitter. Okay, so let's start off by heading over to the official Radiolink website. Always recommend you go to the official website and not any third-party websites. So it's radiolink.com.cn in this case. So we're going to go across to radio menu. I'm going to scroll down to the correct transmitter. In our case, it's the T16D. Then you'll have all the information about the T16D. Now, if you haven't seen my full review on the T16D, the link for that video is down below. I'm rather impressed with this entry-level transmitter. Budget-friendly transmitter is probably a better way of putting it. So across the top here, specs, certificates, and then firmware. So the software on the transmitter is often confirmed as firmware. I'm not going to get into details as to why that is, but for those of you, it's firmware, okay? So what I really like here is that you can run the firmware upgrade process off a Windows machine or off an Apple Mac computer. So it's really nice to see they're actually supporting Apple Macs here. I'm a massive Apple Mac fan. That's what I use for my video editing, but right now in the workshop we've got a Windows PC, so we'll be going down to the Windows section. So it's always worth reading the release notes. Latest firmware, attention, please upgrade twice if the version of the transmitter is before version 1.08. So have a quick look on the transmitter in a minute just to check our version number. For transmitters with firmware version before V120, after updating firmware to 120, and later please calibrate the joystick, enter the menu transmitter settings stick mode to calibrate the joysticks. Okay, and there's a tutorial there. So nice that they've gone through the effort of putting videos up here. And then this is the file that we'll download. So it's just a zip file, which is a compressed file with loads of little files inside it. It's only small, so we click on that, and that will start downloading, as you can see in the top right hand corner here in my browser. And then we can do open file. I'm going to open the folder that's in, see about all the other stuff I've got in here. So here's the folder, and there inside it are all the files we need. So pause there for a minute, let's read the rest of the instructions. So it's interesting to note they're already on version 1.71, and there's been other versions as well, so there's been lots of updates going on, which is good to see. So here's the instructions and what's included. Added built-in gamepad functionality. That is, T16D can connect to a computer for simulator function by Type-C cable, so by USB cable. That's good to see. And if you guys want to know more about the different simulators this transmitter can work on, then just let me know and I'll do a separate video for you. Joystick customization and auxiliary channel support for joystick options were added, so all 16 channels can be customized. Sounds good. Added pop-up reminder to insert high frequency long range module first when module selection selects external in the receiver setting. Okay, you can plug in modules into the back of this transmitter. I've not done that yet, but it's just a little update there. They've improved the software to remind you to do so. Added pop-up notifications showing corresponding pair compatible receivers and rebinding prompts when selecting different FHSS protocols in the receiver setting RF settings menu. Sounds good. Added throttle activated timer trigger functionality in the settings. That's nice, that's something that I would use. So on a timer, you can set your timer to activate based on the position of your throttle, and that's actually how I do all my timers on my electric aircraft. As soon as the throttle's got a couple of clicks up, the timer counts down. If the throttle's completely down, the timer stops, because I'm only using the motor and therefore the main batteries when the motor is switched on. Improved PPM trainer mode. Channels retain Improved PPM training mode. Channels retain original values when no signal input is detected. Okay. Optimize external RSSI value alignment with signal tower measurements. Not too sure on that. Improved timer parameter synchronization with model switching. Enhanced throttle hold values to display more intuitive servo travel indicators. Optimized condition function display interface, so on and so forth. Look, I won't read all this out, but it looks to me already that there's plenty of new functionality in here as well as fixed functionality. Now, not all manufacturers will go through the effort or, in my opinion, be honest enough to list what they fixed in there. Some people don't do that. So for example, for Futaba, you're lucky if they just list a few bits of new functionality in there. They will never list what they've fixed in there. So to me, it's equally important to know what's been fixed in case I was having an issue with something. I know it's now been resolved. Or if I'm having an issue, I can then raise it with Futaba or J Perkins here, the main distie in the UK. So they're doing both. I like that. So definitely credit to Radiolink for listing both. The fixed bug where joystick values remain positive, etc., etc. Fixed delay, resolved, fixed, improved, optimized. So there's lots of good stuff going on here. And then of course they've got their own YouTube video of how to update the firmware, which we're just about to do. And then all the steps you need to follow to upgrade it. So let's get back to the bench and start this process. Okay, so bear with me on the different camera angles that are about to come up. I'll do my best to film this for you and also show what's happening on the computer screen. So first thing we need to do is actually plug the transmitter directly into the computer via the provided USB cable. So it's USB-A on one end and USB-C on the other end. That just goes into the top of the transmitter. Then we're going to plug that into any available USB slot. This is where I'm going to wish I had a longer cable. And now it says push the 2 trim buttons in the middle and press the power button for a long time. Right, I'm going to show you this again, okay? So I found this a little bit tricky. What you need to do, plug the cable in and then push these 2 trims at the bottom together, not apart, not the other trims, the 2 at the bottom. So mine, that's the Radiolink and the aileron trim, together. Once they're together, then do a long press on the main button. You'll get this screen up. So once you've done it right, you'll get this screen up. Let me just see if I can do it again for you. Turn that off. So I'm going to push these 2. Okay, let's just reset. Let's turn it off again. So the trick is to push these 2 together. So they're both going, that one's going to the left, this one's going to the right, so going together. And then press the, running out of fingers here, together and press the on button for a while, and then you get the menu up. So it's only for a few seconds really. Then this menu say, what do you want? Model backups and system upgrades can be performed in the current mode. Press and hold the power button to exit. So I want USB mode. So it should now be in USB mode. So once in USB mode, you should get a drive, a USB drive, pop up on the computer. So let's have a look at that. I actually had to press the push button to select the USB mode, and then this screen comes up. Press the N key to exit USB mode. So we're now in USB mode, so now let's check our computer. Okay, so on the computer, I hope you can see that. I know it's not a perfect capture. You can now see that I have this USB drive appeared, and that is actually the transmitter. The transmitter is plugged in via USB cable and it's come up as a USB drive, and we can see these files that are directly on the transmitter. There's all our different model saves. Nice and simple. There's 100 different slots you get. Just going to get rid of this Windows updates for us. Script folder, not sure about what that is yet. Sounds, user and system sounds. Different languages there, so on and so forth. Which is good. So that was fairly easy once we knew what buttons to press. Let's go back to our drive and follow the steps. Open the firmware folder. So we're clicking on firmware, and this is what is currently running, so version 1.3.0. Delete the original files in the firmware folder, then copy and paste the 4 firmware folders you downloaded into the disk. Right, okay, scary stuff. So let's delete this in here, hit the delete key, bye bye firmware. Let's go and find our downloads. Do that by opening up another window. Control N was the shortcut there. Go back into my downloads folder, back into our zip file we downloaded and the folder within that, and there's the firmware folder we downloaded. So let's just reread the instructions. it says open the firmware folder, delete all the original files from the firmware, then copy and paste the 4 firmware folders you downloaded of the T16D. If it pops, see I don't have 4, unless it's referring to model, script and sounds. But let me just put the firmware across, so version 171.mac. I'm just going to drag and drop that in there, and there it is, copying across. Tiny file, only 900k. If it pops out the reminder to replace the files, click yes. The copy is finished, press the N button to exit, then select upgrade and enter upgrade mode. Okay, I don't know what that's referring to. Please note some transmitters firmware with character upgrade will appear. Okay, so the only bit I'm not too sure about is then copy the 4 firmware folders you downloaded onto the disk. So let me just have a quick look at those folders. Let's go with this message here. That is my transmitter on the left. This is my download on the right. Excuse me, I'm quite a dry throat today. Let's have a quick look in model. Nothing in there from the download. A couple of things in script. So I think what I will do is I will just copy them across. Just by selecting them with the shift key and dragging and dropping. I'm going to replace those in the destination. And then let's see if there's anything else in sounds perhaps. Just comparing what's in here. All sorts of stuff in there. So I'm not too sure about this, to be honest with you. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff in there. Actually, I'm going to copy it all across. So I'm just going to copy the lot. It did say 4 folders from the firmware. So I'm going to copy all 4. So let's do the sounds one. So let's take the 2 sound ones here and copy them over here and replace. 516 items from sounds to sounds. Just while that's finishing off the copy, let's go back and check the instructions. What is this? Snooze. Right. And then it says once this is done, the copy is finished, press the N button. Now that N button must be back on the transmitter, so we'll have a look at that in a minute. Then select upgrade and enter upgrade mode. There's a warning there about different firmware versions. Click yes to update the firmware, click done to exit, long press power button. Okay, so let's go back to the transmitter once that copy has finished. Interesting thing is with this transmitter, you probably just see the name of the file there, KT Sky Monsters. You can actually put music files on this. So if you wanted to fly to a routine, you can configure one of the switches on the transmitter, so when you press it, it activates that music file and the music starts playing out of the transmitter. So for those of you that like flying to music, or any of the other hobby, want to have music playing in the background, you can do that. Others people just think they're never going to use it, but I thought it was quite interesting. Flying to music is good fun. And there we go. So let's go back to the transmitter. Okay, so back on the transmitter screen, I'm just going to hit the exit button by pressing the push. Press the end key to exit. Oh, sorry, end key. Read the instructions, Matt. Right, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to upgrade. So we've done USB mode before, that's how we're into it, but now we're going to do upgrade. So let's push into the upgrade. And there we go. Firmware has been detected. That's my file I just put on, V171. Version, do you want to upgrade? Yes or no? So I'm going to hit yes again. During the upgrade, do not disconnect the power supply to avoid accidents. So there you go, it's going pretty quick. 40%, 50%. 70. Firmware successful upgrade. Press the end key to exit. Let's back over this side. Done. So now we're going to exit this by turning it off. And that is it off. So I'm now going to pull out the USB as well to show you I've disconnected. Let's see if we can go and find, to make sure we're on the right version. Remember where to go, sorry. Let's go and find, check the version. So let's go into the menu. Mode. Pretty sure it's in transmitter settings. Model system 600 about, I'm pretty sure. And there we go. We can see that we're now on version 1.7.1. Perfect. So in fairness, that was the very first time I've done the upgrade process on this transmitter, and it was pretty simple, wasn't it? Just plug in the USB cable, make sure we squeeze these trims together, press the power button at the same time, so all three being pressed there. Comes up with a little menu, enter USB mode. It appears nicely on the computer because we're plugged in via the USB cable, and then just drag and drop the relevant files across into that folder. That was pretty simple. So definitely recommend you do that. If you're on these transmitters, go and make sure, check on your transmitter first as to what firmware version you're on. I'm now on 1.7.1, which is the latest as of recording this video in May 2025. If you're not on the latest, go to the website, download it, follow that sequence, let's go and upgrade it. Okay, so now we've done the transmitter, we better do the other half of the equation, which is of course the receiver. I always suggest you do both at the same time. There could be an update to the firmware that's related to both halves. So you may find that you've updated the transmitter, that it will no longer work your receivers. You may find that, I don't know, it's rare. I don't know Radiolink's case, but regardless, I'm going to update this one right now as well to the latest version of the website. So it's pretty much the same process. We're going to go to the website, we're going to download the zip file, and save that to our local computer. We're going to do a little sequence to plug in the USB cable directly to the receiver. Only difference is this time, we have to hold down this tiny micro switch, which you can just about see here. Hold this down with something, plug in the cable, and then that will make it appear on our computer. If you don't do that, it won't appear on the computer. Then we'll just basically drag the files across, wait for them to finish copying, unplug it, and that's it. Job done. Let's do it. Okay, so here's the page again. I've searched for, off the Radiolink main website, R16F, which is what my receiver is. Hits the firmware page, gone here, and here's the firmware file. Clicked it, that is now downloading very, very quickly. So it's just one file this time. It's not a zip folder, it's one file, just 47K. There's a video down here, which you can watch. I already just watched it, on how to do that upgrade. It'll talk you through it. If not, just watch my video. So now I've got it downloaded. Let's go and find it. Random backdrop there on my computer. Microsoft keeps changing it for me. Should really have my logo up. I haven't done that yet. So where's our downloads? Here's our downloads, and there's the folder, or file rather. So let's now plug in the receiver. Okay, so I've got my USB cable still plugged in. I have my receiver in my hand. I'm going to use a small pointing device. In this case, it's a small hex driver. And you feel this button when you press it. It is actually a physical button. You can feel it press in. So I'm going to want to press it, and it's going to be difficult to show this, guys, but press it and plug in at the same time. So I've got a bit of pressure on there. So that's basically the bind connector. And I'm going to plug my USB-C end in. Got blue light flashing. And I can see already on the computer, because I can see the screen that's come up on there. So I'm going to let go. Let go and drop that down. Let's go back to the screen. So there's our screen with our random monkey in the background. No idea why that's popped up, really haven't. So Control N, open up a new window, or any way you want to. So now on the bottom left, we've got USB drive, and this USB drive this time, rather than transmitter, because we're not plugged in the transmitter anymore, it's the receiver. So we're simply gonna get that firmware file, and it does match that v1.7. I'm going to drop it onto the receiver. Here comes our copy window. Bang, it's done. So now what we need to do is disconnect it and then test it actually works. So we're still plugged in, it's still flashing. I'm literally just going to pull the cable out. Bang, and let's go and plug it into my test piece of cardboard. So guys, with the receiver just plugged into my very crude cardboard test bench here and powered up, you can see it's powered up there. Apologies about this, I do need to change it. It works. And that is it. You don't have to do anything else, just a case of once that file's in the right folder, it's going to apply it. I double checked that with Radiolink, I watched their video, and that's all we have to do. Right, let's conclude. Okay, so I've got to admit that was pretty easy to update the transmitter and pretty easy to update the receiver. Main thing is, make sure you have a USB cable, straightforward USB cable. Don't worry if you lose this one, just any USB cable which got USB-A to USB Type-C will do the trick. Plug it in the top, plug it in the computer, make sure the computer recognises it. Just recognises it as another disk. Then we're just copying files into the disk, or in the receiver's case, we're pressing the bind button, connecting it in, it appears as a disk, then we're copying that file across, and then that's pretty much it, isn't it? Pretty straightforward. So no excuses really. Make sure your equipment is up to date. You can get bug fixes, so issues that have been resolved in the previous firmware, they're all going to be fixed, and you can get new functionality and new features as well. Who doesn't like that? I definitely do. Guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so, and I'll see you next time around.